Are we all seeing the same thing? Sometimes I wonder if everyone is seeing the same objective truth. House of the Dragon is an adaptation of a book titled Fire and Blood. Fire and Blood is an unreliable source of information as it insists upon this fact as it's read. Author George R. R. Martin has made it clear numerous times when discussing this book that this is not a conventional novel and that the narrators of Targaryen history are not reliable. To further that point, there's examples of different events told with different perspectives that contradict each other. They cannot all be true, and it's a possibility that none of them are true. This point was made clear long before House of the Dragon was even an idea. But don't take it from me. I think Littlefinger does a far better job explaining the situation.
A story we agree to tell each other over and over till we forget that it's a lie.
I wanted to make these points first before we get into the primary objective of this video, because when Ryan Condal responds to fans who claim he doesn't understand the character Daemon Targaryen, it seems some wanted to double down on the notion that House of the Dragon has assassinated the Daemon Targaryen character. Now, like it or not, George R. R. Martin is involved. The purpose of Fire and Blood becoming priority over Winds of Winter back in 2018 was specifically in preparation for the Dance of the Dragons adaptation. George recently revealed this finally after many have speculated this much already. I recommend checking out his recent interview on Penguin Random House, and I'll put the link in the description below. But with George R. R. Martin very much involved in development, Ryan Condal is right in what he is insinuating with that response, basically telling fans that they as fans do not get to determine who the character is. Regardless of your interpretation of the source material or your own personal headcanon, Ryan Condal and George R. R. Martin's version of Daemon Targaryen is canon. House of the Dragon isn't a secondhand telling. These are the events and characters as they truly are. I don't want to call anyone entitled, but if you think your understanding of Daemon Targaryen is more accurate than the author himself, you really need to ask yourself why you feel that way, and give yourself an honest answer. Daemon Targaryen is not a good guy. Now that doesn't mean he's purely evil either, but he's called the Rogue Prince for a reason. George R. R. Martin numerous times has called him the epitome of a gray character. What is maybe baffling the showrunners the most is that the backlash is coming from fans who admire the character that they've tolerated doing awful things up until he choked Rhaenyra in the season finale. You can list off killing his wife or grooming a teenage Rhaenyra among other examples that make it clear he's definitely not a hero. But in between all of these objectively bad things, he's yet to be a truly good character. And you can point to the deleted scenes to argue that the show deliberately left things out to make him look even worse. Maybe that scene of him helping his daughters cope with the death of their mother, Laena Velaryon, would have grounded the character just a bit. But would that make him choking Rhaenyra inconceivable? I don't think so. In episode 1, when he tries to comfort Rhaenyra and encourage her to be by her father's side at Aemma Arryn's funeral, I think that's the version of Daemon that does show him as more complex than a man seeking glory or fulfilling every desire. When he helps Viserys in episode 8 and places the crown back on his head, those moments are subtle, but they do matter, and they maintain that he does care for his family while he's also conflicted and pulled towards his other desires. I'm not here to say this show has been perfect. Far from it. But the few issues House of the Dragon suffers from has to do with anything other than the understanding of the characters by the showrunners. The biggest struggle that the show faces in portraying these characters accurately really all falls back to those time jumps, because so much assumed character development does occur off screen. A problem that I think Season 2 will not have to deal with. But can we realize that the Daemon choking Rhaenyra scene may be a little bit off, but it's much more similar to this.
You're a hateful woman. Why have the gods made me love a hateful woman?
And not at all as character breaking as this.
And for every one of the million people in that city, innocent or otherwise.
To be honest, I never really cared much for them. Innocent or otherwise.
So far, the show, I think, works. It hasn't been perfect, like I said, but it definitely accomplished some really great things and maybe even changed some minds about where the Game of Thrones franchise was heading. It definitely revived interest in the franchise, and it didn't flop. There's so much they did get right that I hope you were all able to enjoy it, and if you're like me, I expect it to be even better next season, especially with all of the time jumps out of the way. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section, and thank you for watching. I know I'm a little late to the party, but I will be getting a review of the first season done here soon, so stay tuned for that. And if you're not already, make sure you are subscribed with the notifications turned on so you don't miss it. Thank you again for watching.